On this Monday evening in the city, it is the 27th day of October 2025, 6 o'clock straight up, which means it is time for an all-new live edition of Real Talk Memphis. Welcome in, everybody. I am your humble host. My name is Chip Washington. Glad to be back in the air chair after a week. And I tell you what, obviously the temperatures are changing. The seasons are finally shifting. It has been a cool, gray, cloudy, kind of drippy kind of day today. And it looks like we're going to see temperatures in the 60s throughout the remainder of the week. Let me tell you now, we got more rain coming in tomorrow afternoon, into tomorrow night, maybe even into part of Wednesday as well. So the wet part of the season hasn't ended quite yet. So prepare for that. Keep the umbrellas handy. And, of course, it's time to put the sleeves on. You have to put the sleeves back on. Temperatures in the 50s and 60s out there as well. Welcome in to this edition. Of course, we always endeavor to put a good show on for you each and every Monday, and I don't think that this Monday is any exception to the rule. We will talk about the guest list in just a minute, but first, there are many ways to get this fine piece of radio broadcasting. The number one way, of course, is on 91.7 on your FM dial. That will be WYXR. You can find us there. We are doing our thing this evening. You can also find us on the WYXR app as well. We're broadcasting live. How about TuneIn? You can find us on TuneIn. And I'm sorry, I got stuff running here. You can also find us on the TuneIn app. And, of course, the next couple of days. Excuse me. Wow. I'm sorry. A little sneeze going on there. I'm battling something, but we'll get through it. We are, of course, going to be on YouTube once the show posts. And when it does post, of course, we are a podcast. So you can find us wherever it is you get your favorite podcast. And we hope that we are one of your favorite podcasts. Now, as far as our guest list is concerned tonight, I think we have a pretty good one. Reverend Keith Caldwell. He is the president of MICA, which is an organization really committed to doing the right things with the right people and making sure that equity is the number one rule of the day. So he's going to be joining us to talk a little bit about union issues in our city, as well as what is happening with this Memphis Safe Task Force. And I look forward to having that conversation. At the top, we have State Representative John Ray Clemmons. Of course, we're in the middle of this task force deal with all these federal folks here, thousands of people being arrested, thousands of tickets being issued, and we don't know how long it's going to go, and the whole 9 yards. Well, the Tennessee House Democratic Caucus Chair, State Representative John Ray Clemmons, will be joining me in just a couple of minutes. And, of course, with the government shut down, that means that there are federal workers, not only here in the state of Tennessee, but all over the country, who are really concerned about how they are going to address their needs moving forward. Of course, the government has shut down, which means that there are a lot of federal workers who are not getting paychecks. And one of the biggest issues in terms of programmatics, especially in our state, is the SNAP or food stamp program that affects thousands and thousands of Tennesseans. The governor of this state has said that he is not going to earmark emergency funds when they're supposed to get these food stamps by the 1st of November, which is just a few days away. That is in direct peril. So he's going to talk about that and what action that he and the Legislative Caucus are demanding that the governor do to help so many who need the help. And a little bit later on, we're going to talk, speaking of illnesses and not feeling well, it's time for the medical checkup portion of the broadcast. My good friend, Dr. Steve Threlkeld, will be here. He's an infectious disease specialist, and he's going to talk to us about the latest stuff that's flying around out here. It's cold, flu season. There might be some COVID issues, measles running around out here, and hand, foot, and mouth disease, which is becoming a big thing in these schools. So there's a lot to talk about in reference to the medical front. So there you go. That is a nice little brief rundown of who will be joining me on the broadcast this evening. Now, if today is your birthday, And it is for a lot of people, or you had a birthday over the weekend, you have one coming up. This is your segment. This is all for you. This is how we do when we celebrate your arrival here on Earth. Little thing we like to do is it's called a shout out, but I can't shout anybody out until I say, hit it, Brent. Happy birthday! So y'all pray for me at the top that my voice holds up for the next hour. A lot of talking between now and then. But happy birthday. Let's get to that business. Sandra Williams celebrating today. Happy birthday. Larita Hood celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday to Gregory Morris, to Sharon Hughes. Xavier Rand is celebrating a birthday today, as is Duche Townsell. And my good friend Irma Johnson is celebrating her birthday today. And also a very special birthday to Clarence. They call him JR Granberry, celebrating his birthday today as well. So to each and every one of you out there who are celebrating your birthday, I hope today's been filled with love and laughter and lots of cake and ice cream if that's your thing as well. And from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, happy birthday. And we hope to be with you next year on your next trip around the sun. Thanks, Brent. So let's take a quick look at some news and notes this evening. One of the things that has been a big story, especially in the northern part of the Mississippi, was this former youth pastor and former assistant basketball coach. Her name is Lindsay Whiteside. She had initially been formally sentenced to 3 years of house arrest after pleading guilty to a sexual battery of a child charge. Apparently, she was taking this child across state lines from Mississippi into Tennessee for the purposes of having sex with a 16-year-old child. And she was charged, of course, with sexual battery. That's just one of the two charges. Well, initially, she was charged with 3 years of house arrest in South Haven, which many people thought was outrageous, especially the parents of school-age children that attended school in the North Mississippi in that South Haven school district. Well, the federal government jumped into this, and she was charged federally last Thursday, formal charges. She is now in custody and under arrest for all of this, and she will find out what happens from this point forward. Any other child battery case we have around here, whether it's anywhere, the first thing you know is that person is locked up in custody and under arrest. For some particular reason, she wasn't. 3 years house arrest she was given, and then 6 years supervised vision or what have you, which was outrageous. So there is some comfort for the parents of students that attend the South Haven School District. Let me see. Big night tonight at the County Commission. They are going to try to override the veto that Mayor Lee Harris issued a few weeks back in terms of the voting for Shelby County School Board members. He wanted to move them to the regular county voting cycle, which is next year. So the ones who were voted in 2024, their term would be cut by 2 years with that veto. Like I said, Mayor Harris vetoed that. So tonight, the Shelby County Commission is going to try to override that. They'll need 8 votes. It was passed 7-5 a couple of weeks ago to move the election cycle. Well, they need 8 votes tonight to overturn that veto. So if anybody out there who's paying attention to my show, if you get an earmark, if you can find out what is happening in the county commission meeting and it happens before I leave the air, please shoot me a note on Facebook or on Facebook Live tonight and let me know what happened in terms of the override. And again, we talked a little bit about this. The SNAP benefits. There's a temporary pause in them issued for not only the state of Mississippi, but the state of Tennessee as well. The Mississippi Department of Human Services announced benefits will not be issued for November as long as this shutdown continues. It's amazing to me how people that we elect to office decide our fate in many instances forget about us in times like this. Government shutdown. People can't afford to pay their bills. They're not getting paid at all. They can't afford to take care of their responsibilities. In a state where hunger is a big issue, in a city, in a county where hunger is a big issue, we're temporarily halting services and not giving them the benefits that they're due on a monthly basis. November starts this Saturday. So we will continue to pray. And we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes with my first guest. So it's outrageous. It's just outrageous. And yeah, if that sounds like an editorial comment from me, it's because it is. We have people out here who are working hard every day and putting in their end of the bargain, which is doing a day's work for a day's pay. But yet we have people in Washington, D.C. who are blaming each other. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats are blaming the Republicans. Yet nothing is getting done, and day after day after day, people are trying to figure out what their next step is in the process. It's just not right. In any event, let me pause at that point and take a break. When we come back, we will reset, refocus, and get into it. What do you say on this cool Monday evening in the city? I'm Chip. You know who you are. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And, we talked about this at the very top. What is happening in our country right now in terms of this shutdown of all of these, the federal government basically shutting down and doing great harm in and around, many in this country, no more so than here at the state of Tennessee. My first guest is the Tennessee House Democratic Caucus Chair, and he came out with a rather strong rebuttal to all of this to the governor last week. And again, this is in reference to the SNAP program, the food stamp program, which are in definite peril because they're due this week. And we see no resolution. We have heard that the governor has said that he's not going to earmark funds to be able to make up the shortfall. But we'll talk about that right now with State Representative John Ray Clemmons joining me. And it is great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chip. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this important issue.
Absolutely that. And I have to say, he's being a dutiful and responsible father. He's got kids out there playing sports and doing other things. He's doing what dads do. They chauffeur their kids, and I really appreciate your time. So listen, I read what you all the statement that you all put out last Friday, I believe it was, last week, and again today, in terms of this government shutdown. And the impact on so many people out here, including many Tennesseans, not only here in Memphis and Shelby County, but throughout the state, in reference to a denial of perhaps these food stamps that are so desperately needed by so many people. Please give me your take on that.
Well, the fact is that 690,000 plus Tennesseans rely on the SNAP program, those food stamps to put food on the table and feed their families. We're talking about low income and disabled adults and children. So that's 10% of Tennessee's population relies on SNAP. And here we know that as of this Saturday, Friday midnight, right after Thanksgiving, the money's going to dry up. And so those families are going to risk going without food assistance from our government. So what we did, the House Democratic Caucus, we sent a letter to Governor Bill Lee last week asking him to call an emergency session of the General Assembly, a special session for the purpose of appropriating emergency funds to fill in that funding gap, for as long as we need to make sure that Tennessee families are able to eat and that innocent children don't go hungry.
And as of yet, have you received any type of response from the governor's office?
Well, the governor, as you know, is traveling around Asia. He's touring around Asia while Tennessee families are looking at going without food. But he put out a response at 5 a.m. Friday morning from somewhere in Asia. His office did that, he's not going to do that. That, it was, again, my letter asked him to let's rise above politics. You can blame whoever you want in D.C. For the shutdown. We all know D.C.'s broken, but let's rise above that. Let's unite and come together and step up for Tennessee families and do right by Tennessee families. He responded just by more political finger pointing, which is not what Tennesseans need. The Tennessee families out there who are staring down the barrel of going without food in less than 5 days, they don't care who's to blame for a federal shutdown. They care about putting food on the table to feed their children. And that's what we as state government officials should be concerned about. And that's what we should be doing something to address.
I mean, you mentioned at the very top, and the numbers are pretty staggering in terms of all of those who are affected by all of this. And you're talking about 10% of the entire population of the state of Tennessee. It is unconscionable to watch this develop and not for whatever reason, not do anything about it or not even plan on trying to do anything about this. Is there any other recourse that you all have? I mean, you have asked him to get everybody together in a special session. Let's talk about this. Let's do something to fix this for the people who elected us to office. If you don't hear anything between now and, say, the end of the week, is there any other recourse in reference to this?
Well, the only recourse is for voters to make their voice heard. I mean, Republicans run everything. They run every branch of state government. They run every branch of federal government. And so here at the state government, that's why we're calling on them to put politics to the side. And we don't care what's going on in the federal government. We need to do right by Tennessee families here at the state level. We have the financial means to do so. This governor's no stranger to calling special sessions. He's called more special sessions during his 7-year tenure than any other governor in modern history. He's done it for a variety of reasons. And, just recently, think about in January, we came in for a special session, not only to pass his voucher scam, but we passed badly needed emergency relief for 10,000 Tennesseans who had been devastated by flooding in Northeast Tennessee. That was 10,000 Tennesseans. We're talking about 690,000 Tennesseans going without food assistance this Saturday morning. It's the right thing to do. Like you said, it's unconscionable that we would sit idly by and let Tennessee children go hungry. We're talking about the prospect of Thanksgiving approaching and Tennessee families sitting down to an empty table on Thanksgiving. We cannot allow that. That is simply unacceptable, in my opinion. And we need these Republicans running the state legislature, running our state government to step up and join us and do right by these Tennessee families.
I mean, I think that, and it would have to be very frustrating to the Democratic Party here, and most people may be listening to what we're talking about here and saying, "Well, I don't give a hoot about either one of them, one way or the other." But this party bickering that is going on, and then to take a posture to say that we're going to ignore thousands of individuals who helped to put us in office, in something that is so key, critical in reference to all of this. Let me ask you: you've been in the House for a while. Why? I'm just trying to figure out how I can ask the question. I mean, there is clearly a defined split between the Republican Party, which, as you say, run things in this state, and the Democrats themselves. And you said one of the remedies of doing that is to go to the polls during the election cycle and make these changes. But just on the day-to-day, Representative Clemmons, does it grieve you a bit just to understand that the fight for everyday Tennesseans has to be such an uphill fight in reference to who's running things in this state right now?
Yeah, and that's what's really changed during my tenure in the legislature. It's gotten worse and worse. Once upon a time we could reach across the aisle, to work for the common good, because Tennesseans, they don't care. Democrat, Republican, no party has a monopoly on good ideas, but everybody up here should be focused on doing right by Tennessee families and making sure that everything we're doing up here or have the opportunity to do is designed to improve the quality of life of Tennessee families, and making their health and welfare our number one priority. That shouldn't be a partisan issue. And so, it's frustrating, as you said, for me and my fellow Democrats and maybe a handful across the aisle on occasion, to just have to beg and plead to ask the governor or ask these Republican leaders just to do the right thing. Because we're talking about innocent children here. We're talking about disabled adults. If they didn't have to rely on SNAP, they wouldn't. This is... these folks need help. And now here we go. Instead of actually doing something, instead of using the financial means at our disposal, they've decided to sit on their hands and do nothing and point fingers and try to use innocent Tennessee families, 690,000 Tennesseans, as political leverage in something that we at the state level have no control over. And that's a broken DC federal government. That is unacceptable to me.
Yeah, it's unacceptable to a lot of people. Let me switch gears, if I can, for just a minute. We have the Memphis Safe Task Force, federal incursion down here in Memphis and Shelby County. Been down here for 25 days now, and we've seen thousands of people be arrested. We've seen thousands of traffic tickets being issued. We've seen many of our brown brothers and sisters, the immigrant population, being arrested and locked up in reference to this. Now, I know that the party has some strong thoughts about this, but I wanted to get your thoughts on what is happening down here in Memphis and Shelby County.
Well, I've spoken a lot with County Mayor Lee Harris about this very issue. I stand with him and his opinion on this, and my colleagues. This is simply not legal what they're doing. It's unconstitutional, quite frankly. Talked to my good friend Representative Joe Towns about it today. Everybody is concerned about this, the manner in which this is being carried out. And I empathize. My district here in Nashville was the first district where they started doing the ICE raids. When they started, masked individuals started pulling people off the street. Brown and black skin constituents of mine getting pulled off the street by masked individuals. That is not America. That is not something you think could happen in this country. Yet it is every day, and racial profiling is taking place every day, and now in Memphis. I'm sure they're, pulling folks over for any number of reasons without probable cause.
Sure.
So this is a serious issue. It's a huge legal issue, and people need to step up and realize what is happening to our democracy and what is happening. This is not normal, and we should not accept it as such.
There was some conversation when all of this was formulating down here that there were many folks up in Nashville that were paying very close attention to what is happening down here right now, for fear that there is a possibility of maybe something like that occurring up in your city as well. I mean, I know you guys are keeping a pretty close eye on it. And you mentioned the unconstitutionality of all of this. There is a lawsuit apparently that's going to court, I believe, next week in reference to the National Guard's presence here in this city. And many, like you and several of your colleagues, said this is flat out against the law and it's unconstitutional. Is that the word in terms of all of this?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a direct violation of the Constitution, and that's why that lawsuit was filed. I stand with my friends who filed that lawsuit, including County Mayor Lee Harris and others in that lawsuit. And yes, you're right. It's supposed to be up for a hearing before a chancellor here in Nashville on Monday morning, I do believe.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I guess my take is, well, I mean, it's sort of like putting the cart behind the horse. I mean, this is they're already here. And we don't know how long they're going to be here, and I don't know what the court case is going to do one way or another. But I mean, we're feeling. I think everybody's feeling the pressure of all of this. The nation is watching what is happening here. We're not getting a lot of information, as I'm sure you're well aware, in terms of the statistics and the number of folks arrested, how long all this is going to happen, and at this point, are we just basically at the will of the governor of this state versus, I mean, I guess as the president as well? I mean, are we being held hostage basically by him until he decides one day that this is enough is enough and it's time to move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be clear. This is an order of President Donald Trump, and our governor doesn't have enough backbone to stand up to him and say that this is not right or this is, opposed to our Constitution, which our governor is the one who took an oath to uphold our state Constitution, not the president. So regardless of what the president wanted or told him he wanted, the governor had a duty to say, no, that's, I can't do that. I swore an oath here and this violates that Constitution. If our governor had a little bit of backbone and Senator Marsha Blackburn and some of these others actually stood up for Tennesseans rather than siding with the president who's hell bent on dismantling our democracy and racially profiling Americans, then we might have a chance here. So that's why we have to take the legal route and go to the courts, unfortunately. And you're right. I mean, this is post facto. This is after the fact and after people have been harmed. And Governor Bill Lee has misrepresented the individuals and the grounds for the arrests that have taken place. They said it was primarily violent individuals, but apparently it's primarily just traffic citations and other nonviolent offenses, broken taillights, those types of things that we have heard about throughout our history targeting certain individuals.
Well, listen, I know that the fight is steep. I know the hill is steep in reference to the Democratic Party in the state of Tennessee. We applaud you for your efforts in letting people know what is happening out here. And more importantly, that you are not taking your foot off the gas with all of this. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And over 600,000 people could very well be affected, their livelihoods very easily by the end of the week. We appreciate your efforts and your hard work. Keep us posted on what's going on, please.
We will certainly do so, and my heart is with the people of Memphis. I went to law school down there, and it holds a special place in my heart. So we're with you guys all the way, and we're going to do everything that we can to help not only the people of Memphis, but people in all 95 counties of Tennessee.
State Representative John Ray Clemmons, thank you, sir, for taking the time tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So there you go. That's a bird's eye view of what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen. And as he said, there are 600,000 plus people who depend on the SNAP program to put food in their bellies every day. This is extraordinarily important stuff. And when you have 10% of the population who depends on food stamps and the SNAP program and other associated programs, this is a very, very serious thing. And the governor has said, well, it'll just be paused for right now, and we're not going to allocate money that we have in the budget for emergencies for situations such as this. Now, you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what's right about any of that. Let me take a break, and when we come back, we are going to be joined by our next guest, and we mentioned what is happening down here in Memphis and Shelby County. Well, my next guest is kind of right in the middle of all of that. We'll do that after a quick timeout. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Please stay with us.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from Mempho Presents and GPAC, presenting Jeff Tweedy on Wednesday, November 19th at 7:30 p.m. at GPAC, featuring his new album, Twilight Override. Tickets and more information at gpacweb.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. Glad that you are with us this evening. You know, we're in a time here in our city and the county that for many people is very confusing. It's very frustrating, and it's very difficult. And my next guest is a gentleman who has inserted himself right into the middle of all of this. First of all, he is he's a pastor. And he's also the president of MICA, which stands for Memphis Interfaith Coalition for Action and Hope. Now, you take and put all those words together, that's a pretty strong statement right there. But anyway, please welcome my next guest to the show, Reverend Keith Caldwell. Reverend Caldwell, it's great to see you. Welcome to Real Talk Memphis.
Brother Chip Washington, so good to meet you and to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely that. And well, first of all, last week you headed a huge rally in reference to our brothers and sisters in various unions in and around our community. And there has been a bit of I guess the best way to say it is frustration in reference to city government in terms of these agreements that you all have been trying to get signed. Memorandums of understanding, I believe, is the apt term for the unions in reference to their relationship with the city. Please talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I didn't head to the rally. I was asked to speak. We had some great presidents, President James Jones over the Teamsters, Kevin Bradshaw, Central Labor Council. We had about 8 or 9 different labor unions represented. I just wanted to clear that up.
Absolutely.
But we want the mayor to actually to honor a memorandum of understanding. And we know that, we're talking about working people who wake this city up every morning and puts this city to bed every night. And so they just want fair representation. And we just think about the sanitations right here in Memphis, sanitation workers strike. I pastor the historic Centenary United Methodist Church, where the Reverend Jim Lawson invited Dr. King to Memphis in 1968 for that strike. And so we're just continuing in that legacy about speaking truth to power and being prophetic around caring for the dignity of all labor.
Obviously, by the gathering of individuals that day, there were a lot of folks there. And you told me there were even more unions there than you thought initially were going to be there. So it may sound like a silly question, but just how important is this? Now, the history of unions, as you just eloquently stated, goes back a long way here, and to where we are right now. these union folks are obviously extraordinarily frustrated in what they feel is an unfair treatment by the city government. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct. And you think about firefighters, emergency responders, police officers, sanitation workers, all these folks, if you strip the power of collective bargaining, then the first attack on an autocracy is on labor to begin with. Because when you have working people making living wages, then they can enjoy a level of independence that they wouldn't if they weren't. And so you could kind of crush people when you destroy the ability to collectively bargain, to come together, to unify. I mean, if you think about it, we're a collection of 50 states. We're the United States. So there's power in unity. And what the unions are asking for are for fair wages. They're asking for safe working conditions. They're asking, that their health insurance not skyrocket disproportionately. So these are very reasonable asks, and the city can make good on that.
So as you laid all of that out, and there's clear frustration between what the union is asking for and the city government, what's the holdup? What is the problem here? What is the chasm that divides the union versus the city?
So they've been in conversations with the mayor, and President James Jones said that the mayor told him that he respected labor and that he would not come against labor. I think our mayor Paul Young is a very decent human being, but we want to talk about what he's doing politically in this moment, and just to say that this is unjust.
Yeah, I mean, I think that many people, and this has been going on for a while now. We know that the city has its share of challenges in many ways, but this is obviously something, because, as you said, on the backs of labor is union. These unions are their strength, and these unions are what keep them and hold them together. And as you stated a few minutes ago, they just want what's fair. They would just want what's right. They just want what they can have to be able to, as you say, live a decent life. Am I correct in that?
That's right. And we want to encourage other faith leaders to come and support this, because there's this falseness around that pastors shouldn't be political. And the thing is, to say that Jesus is Lord and Caesar is not is the most political statement that you can make, because it means that if the state tries to do something unjust, that I'm not going to obey an unjust law, and I'd rather pick up my cross. And so these faith leaders and all your members are in churches and in synagogues and in houses of worship. So we need you to come and speak prophetically for this on labor, and to speak against this illegal occupation that the federal government, that President Trump and Governor Lee are projecting onto a majority Black city, and putting their boot on the neck of Memphians. And this isn't a way to deter crime. This $100 million that they would be spending, can you imagine if that was spent on mass transit, for folks could have dependable transportation to get back and forth to work and schools? What at MICA, Memphis Interfaith Coalition for Action and Hope, as you mentioned in the opening, one of our three platform issues are affordable housing, transportation, and really what we talk about, transformative justice, which it deals with issues of racism or systemic injustice.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That's where I was going next, in terms of your organization being one of the upfront organizations. In reference to what is happening here, I read today we're not even a month in, barely a month in, and there's 6,000 plus arrests have been made, and thousands of tickets have been issued. And as you said, what is happening here in our city, in our community, is really akin to what is right, what is fair, and what is just, which is what you just said a minute ago. And I mean, it has to be a very hard pill, a bitter pill to swallow for an organization that stands for what you stand for, yet watching everyday brothers and sisters in our city being harassed and being persecuted in a certain way. And I really wanted to get your your perception of all of that, and tie that, if you will, to the fact that you are a minister, and the message that you portray each and every Sunday to your congregation.
Okay, so we're working in collaboration with Free the 901.
Yes.
Free the 901 is a groups that make up the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, Memphis for All, Tequila Rucker, Amber Sherman, some great folks. We also working closely with Vecindarios 901.
Right.
And these folks deal with immigration. Man, what these ICE agents are doing to our immigrant community, the way they're setting up these roadblocks and high immigrant communities and going in and doing mass arrest. And we've heard stories that people who are actually have documentation and still being arrested and say we're going to sort that out later. They're being deported. They're being carried to not 201 Poplar, but they're being carried into Mississippi and also into Mason, Tennessee, the former CCA prison that was closed and opened back up.
Right.
And we know that when they do this to our Latinx sisters and brothers, and these are not non-violent offenses, like these are misdemeanor charges of immigration, is a civil matter, and they're criminalizing that. I had 3, I would suppose, ICE vehicles in the parking lot of my church about 2 weeks ago, and they were unmarked, 2 trucks and an SUV. I went outside. My church administrator, she was like, "Pastor, don't go out there." They didn't have any uniform on. I asked them, I said, "Are you looking for someone?" And they had on these flak jackets and all this kind of military, but no insignias. And they said no, and they told me I could go alone. I said, "No, you can go alone, because we don't want you in our parking lot. We have a clothing closet. We have a food pantry. Most of the people who come to see us maybe have been experienced incarceration. They may be experiencing addiction or we don't ask their immigration status because we don't care. We just want to feed people. And we don't want someone to come to our church and get locked up in our parking lot because some unidentified masked ICE agent decides that's what they want to do." So we just don't want our community terrorized in that way. And understanding as a Black person what has happened to us historically in this country, this is all too familiar. And we shouldn't stand by and allow our brothers and sisters who are Latinx to be done this way.
I was going to ask you, what message does all of this send? A lot of folks who have been raised in Memphis and know this city pretty well go back to '68. They go back to when the National Guard was here, and it brings forth some very, very nightmarish thoughts in reference to where we are today. So from your perspective, what message is this sending to us as a city and a county of people?
I think this is from Trump, the MAGA Republican, is very much grounded in the brutal legacy of white supremacy. And let me be clear, when I talk about white supremacy, I'm not talking about tearing down white people. Rather, I'm talking about a 500-year-old structure that says that some people are not fully human, and use that to have chattel slavery, use that to colonize other countries, use that in immigration processes, and it hid in the church. It hid in the American Christian church. That's why when you see white Christian nationalism, that is as far as the gospel of Jesus Christ as it can be. Scripture tells us pure religion, undefiled, is to take care of the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, which is the immigrant. And so instead of having love and embracing, and of course we want good borders, and we don't want people, penetrating our borders. We don't even have enough jobs for the people who are already here. There are so many jobs that we don't have. And so we need to revamp our immigration policy versus knowing we need these workers and still yet criminalizing them. I mean, so it's so many layers to that, but this is what white Christian nationalism through Trumpism, and it's exacting itself on Memphis in this way.
Reverend Keith Caldwell, ladies and gentlemen, Micah president. He is a pastor, senior pastor at Centenary Baptist Church here in our city. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here in our city. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and more importantly, I appreciate the work that you're doing for so many who are feeling put upon these days, I would imagine. We really appreciate your time, and I hope that this is our first conversation, but I hope it won't be our last.
Okay, Chip, I want to encourage folks to go to micahmemphis.org, MICAH, and see, you can plug in. If you're being frustrated by what you're seeing and don't know where to start, go to the Memphis NAACP, come to micahmemphis.org and do something.
Memphis.org. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Let me take a quick break. I actually have some breaking news here to share. I will, in reference to what is happening at the county commission this evening, I will do that after a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR and the 2025 Stereo Sessions comes from Independent Bank, serving Memphis, its businesses, and the greater community. You can find more information on how iBank can help you navigate your financial journey and hear client stories at i-bankonline.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
Welcome back to Real Talk Memphis this evening. Chip with you, and some breaking news from the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. They voted to override Mayor Harris's veto of the moving of the school board elections. They voted to move it to next year. The mayor vetoed that, and he was overruled tonight by an 8-4 vote of the county commission, which means that all of the school board seats will be up for election in 2026. That's big news, and we'll talk. I'm sure we'll hear a whole lot more about that later on. But I wanted to have my next guest on the show. He's a good friend, and we hadn't had a medical update, a medical checkup around here in a while, and I wanted to get him on because the seasons are changing, the weather is changing, and there are things going on out there from the health perspective we need to know about. Please welcome my good friend, Dr. Steve Threlkeld, to the show. He is an infectious disease specialist, and my friend, it's great to see you. It's time for our annual checkup now. You and I have talked off air. You got COVID not too long ago again. But you're feeling better. You look great. You're feeling good. Everything good on you? Everything good for you?
Thank you, sir. It's great to be with you as always, Chip. Yeah, ironically, I got it at a national infectious disease meeting. I came home and, wow. What are you going to do? So kind of embarrassing, but it's my second time to have it. And I was almost about to get a booster a month or so later, but I'm always envious of these guys that just, I was just a little cold. I had 102 fever for several days in the bed. I was pretty sick with it, but I'm fine. Yeah, I've come through.
Well, listen, okay. I wanted to get your take on things. Now we're in the fall, right? And we always talk about the weather's cooling down now, and folks are getting sick again because the change of habit and the change of weather and everything. COVID is still with us. It is not in the form that it was, but from your perspective, it does pay to pay attention to this, does it not?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a couple of my trusted employees right now have got it. It's still here, although nationally it's at a many months low. So the problem with COVID is not that you typically die of the respiratory illness like people were doing so much in the beginning or even the middle, but people that get COVID have more heart arrhythmias and blood clots and occasional strokes and things like that. So we see those things
Wow.
in the people that are hospitalized. So I still don't want to get it, and so
Yeah.
I'm still into taking the at least a yearly booster for me. And my wife didn't get it from me, and she'd had a booster not that long ago, and I hadn't gotten it from her when she got it back in the spring. So for 6 months or so, it's still quite effective against the disease altogether. After that, you can still get it, but your odds of getting really sick from it are much lower.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, in my household, flu shots, check. COVID boosters, check. So we'll see how things go from there. But we're getting into flu season, and I don't know if it's too early to prognosticate what type of season that we have. We never know from year to year. What are you hearing so far, if anything?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know because we make the flu shot based on what's going on in the southern hemisphere during their winter, and we kind of predict things. So it's a little different every year. Last year, we had the highest hospitalization rates and some of the most severe cases since about 2010.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty rough year. Sometimes it gets better after a rough year, but we'll just have to see. It's kind of slow getting here this year. It's really relatively low activity right now. In the Mid-South here, we frequently have later peaks for the flu. I don't know why, but it just seems like that's the case. So there's still plenty of time to get your flu shot if you haven't had it. It's not really landed. We've seen a couple cases, but it's not landed really hard in our area yet. So still plenty of time to get protected from it.
Before I go to the big thing that's going on around here now, you and I talked a while back about measles. And that's something we hadn't heard about that for a long time. And now it has sort of cropped up again. Has it surprised you as to the magnitude of what we've seen around the country?
Well, no, because it really tracks with the vaccination rate, and so there's just been a lot of kind of confusion, a lot of discussion about it, but. It's been the most. There have been more than 1,600 cases of measles this year. That's the most in over 30 years. And,
wow.
and what it does is it attacks little communities and pockets of people that are unvaccinated and unprotected. And so, with all the vaccine discussion and sort of some craziness on both sides, the people that are in favor of vaccines, like me, will, sometimes we kind of say, there's no such thing as vaccine side effects. Of course they are. But it's a great and safe vaccine that has protected people for an entire generation since I was born and a little kid. And nobody dies of measles anymore, until now. And it's really a shame that we have the resurgence of some of these things. It's a safe vaccine, it's very effective. And to say that you're worried about vaccine side effects instead of getting the vaccine is about like saying you're worried about the problems of wearing a seatbelt. Yeah, I've seen people have a problem because they had a seatbelt on. Yeah. But to drive down the highway and not wear a seatbelt because of that is not a statistically very smart thing to do. And that's exactly what's going on with these vaccines.
Yeah, it's interesting and kind of scary. Okay, so now this hand, mouth, and foot, I think I said that right, disease that is going around. And it's starting to pop now. I mean, it's in the schools and some of the older folks are getting it. Please explain to us what this is all about and why has it been such a long period of time since we've seen it?
Yeah, and it actually happens every year. It's been kind of a big year for it. It's shut down some schools and stuff. It's pretty contagious illness. It's called the Coxsackie virus. But there's several different strains of it. So you can get it more than once. You can get it a different strain of it, or you can get the same one later. So you're not really any lifelong immunity against this germ. It's not typically a severe illness, other than it can be quite painful, particularly in little kids. A lot of times it's less than 5 years old that really have the worst part of it. And every now and then people will say to me, hey, my kid's got these ulcers on their hands and their feet and some little stuff in their mouth. What do you think it could be? I was like, hand, foot, and mouth disease. Sure. It's got a good name. It really is what it is. Painful, low-grade fever. You can be contagious for about a week. Thankfully, not a lot of serious illness from it, but it's still quite painful and very irritating to get.
I think that I heard that we're seeing older folks getting this in some sectors. Is that a true statement that
Yeah, oh yeah, you can get it on into life. Now it's most spread around by kids. It can be spread by fecal oral route, by oral route, by secretion. So little kids in daycare or early grades are the ones that typically pass it around, and because of that, it's more young parents and such that can get it for another time. But sure, grandparents can get it. It definitely happens, and again, thankfully, it's not the disease with a lot of mortality and stuff like we see in flu and respiratory syncytial virus and COVID, potentially way less than that. So it's not so much of a dangerous disease as it's painful and very, very irritating.
Yeah, and I guess it has what is it, like a 10-day? Did I hear? What's the usual course it runs in terms of time?
Yeah, it runs about a week or so.
About a week, okay.
It's what it typically has, fever and the blisters, and they just gradually kind of peter out over a week or so. But they can be quite painful when they're there, particularly for the little kids who just don't understand it.
Well, I always come to you during this time of year because it's very important that people don't neglect things, and I know that you're a proponent of getting flu vaccines, and again. And I think one of the things that people hear but don't hear is the fact that when you get these vaccines, it doesn't keep you from getting it. You hear folks, I'm not getting a flu shot because when I got a flu shot, I hadn't had a flu for 20 years. I got a flu shot and I got the flu. It's not so much that, it is the severity of it. Again, wants to explain to folks, correct?
Yeah, and so the flu shot has never been perfect or even fabulous at preventing you from getting the flu. Yeah. It is outstanding against preventing you from getting hospitalized or dying from the flu. And after all, that's kind of job one. And you also see people say, well, I got the flu shot and I got the flu like a week later.
Yeah.
It's because you didn't get it 2 weeks sooner. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to generate that immunity. So if you wait until it's in town and then you take it, it's not uncommon to then get a case after it. One thing, a plug for respiratory syncytial virus vaccines out there now. That's something that's really taken hold and is probably of the COVID, flu, RSV kind of triad, the one that's the largest problem right now. And it's in little kids particularly, under a year old. Those little bitty airways that they have, it causes something called bronchiolitis. And their airways can't take that kind of inflammation. So frequent hospitalizations, little kids die of that illness, and there's a great vaccine for moms between 32 and 36 weeks of pregnancy to pass that antibody on to the babies and protect them. And even if you forget to do that, there's a monoclonal antibody that's recommended for any unprotected kid now going into their first season of respiratory syncytial virus. And it's very, very effective and safe. And so that's a disease that we really should try to curtail the illness that hits our babies.
Absolutely that. And I was going to say, most of this strikes the littlest ones, and then they sort of spread it on, and folks taking care of it and everything. Well, listen, man, it's always good to see you, and it's always good to hear from you as well in reference to what is happening. I will tell you to stay up and stay well, my friend, because you never know when I'm going to be calling.
Thank you, Chip. Always great to be with you.
You too, my friend. Thank you so much. Dr. Steve Threlkeld, ladies and gentlemen, with our annual medical checkup. And that's been a great show. It's been a great show tonight. Really appreciate all my guests for being here. Now, don't go away because my guy, Mr. Bren Butler, who's on the board with me tonight, he has a great show. It's called Event Horizon. And Bren, you have another good show for the folks tonight?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, multi-genre. We'll try to make it kind of seamless throughout, these transitions or whatever. I know it can be a little jarring between songs.
What is your favorite time of year? Now that you got your own show, musically speaking, what is your favorite time of year from that perspective?
Well, I've definitely been leaning into a fall atmosphere with my songs this go around. And so I've got to go that route. A lot of Halloween music, et cetera, et cetera.
Getting into the season, man. It's coming up, right? In
a few
days. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, Event Horizon, just right around the corner here, and as Brent plays us out. Really good show tonight. I am grateful for my guest, as always. And I hope you got some good information out of it. As always, if you didn't get a chance to listen to the show live, we're a podcast, so in the next few days when they post the show, you'll be able to find it wherever it is you get your podcast. You can also see the show on my Facebook page as well. And if you like what we do, go out and tell somebody. We can't achieve success without you, because you are the backbone of what we do each and every week. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, for lovely Lola, for Bren, who's coming up in just less than a minute with this week's edition of Event Horizon. And for yours truly. Listen, stay up, stay well. I've been sick for the last 2-3 days. Been fighting it. I'm winning so far. Keep praying for your guy. So take good care of yourself. Watch out for yourself and watch out for others because they may not be watching out for you. And be safe and careful out there always. So for me to you, from all of us, we are out. See you soon.